Kids always play with stuff, you know? It's just how it goes. Anywho, we're jumping on here. Dave with Affordable Door and Gate. I do garage doors. I do gates. I do business. I do multiple business. I do real estate as well. You guys got any questions? I jumped on here for you. So I'm here for you. You can always email me too at the daveadubson@gmail.com. I put it in the description below. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of ramble here. You guys are more welcome to throw out comments. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what kind of problems you're having. Let me know what's going on out there. Prices. What's gas prices in your area? Gas prices coming down? You like what Mr. Trump's doing? Huh? Boy, there's a lot of activity on the old phone. Trump is really stirring the pot, isn't he? Hopefully it's all for good. I like it. I like it. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully something doesn't happen. I wanted to read this email. So it threw me a little bit. I still got to reply. So if, oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'll find it. Don't you worry. It's from Pete. Pete's been emailing me today. Thank you, Pete. Oh, and if you guys come through, don't forget, hit the like button. Just helps wake up the algo, brings more people, more like-minded people in, which is always great. What's up, Rusty? Haven't heard from you in a while. Kind of missing you, honestly. I'm missing the emails and all the problems and good things and the 405. We're missing the 405. So check this out, Rusty. Pete, I want to see if I can find it from the get-go here. He says, "Good morning, Dave. So hope you're having a nice morning." Thank you. Hope you're doing good too, Pete. Just wanted to inform you that I am looking into a few of those overhead RMZs. Overhead RMZs. That threw me. I was like, RMZs. I call them RSX. Are they RMZs now? Or did he mean RSX? So I looked it up. I did a little Google, real quick Google, and Google shows that it looks like those are hoist. Those are like a jack shaft, commercial jack shaft, but they got the chain fall, right? Like they're a hoist. I don't know why it's called the JMZ, but I guess I don't know why the other ones are RSX. So it sounds like they still do have the RSX, is my guess from my little Google search. And they also, I never heard of it, called the RMZ. So I was like, okay. It says Jack Shafts. He says there's a place near me, 45 minutes, which I still got to email him. So if Pete, if you see this, always put in the comments or email me. Because he was mentioning there is a place near me about 45 minutes away. He says that will sell them. My question is, I don't know if if that's another overhead dealer. I mean, I'm assuming it's an overhead dealer, a red, what do they call it? The red ribbon. But he gave me, I just like, I don't even know what these openers are running. I mean, I figure openers are about, in my head are about $1,200 commercial openers. Maybe you guys can let me know what you're paying for. Like, just give me a jack shaft, LiftMaster, J50 or something, or a maximum, what's the numbers you guys are peeling out on these things? What did I rate? I said, how much? I said, OH wants much for them, too much for them, like double the price. Yeah, like when I priced them out, this was, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, it was all of like $2,400. And I was like, I don't think we can do that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if we were talking maybe a couple $100, 3-5, maybe, I don't even know about 5 is kind of pushing it. We can make it happen. Says, I'll find out soon as receive the quote, which is awesome. He said, not bad pricing compared to LiftMaster prices. And I didn't see a number. Our emails are a little goofy, like they're glitching almost. So I don't know. I got something twice from him today too. So I don't know what's kind of going on. Something's goofy on my end. It's actually not a bad price compared to LiftMaster. Yes. Let's see here. And then I said, how much? I said, I know these things are running these days, 12, 15, 2,400, LOL. He says, he's just got a quote for $977.50. That's how you know it's official. That's how you know he's not lying. That 50 cents, because that's the killer, man. That 50 cents, that's just, at least it's not 75 cents. Because if it's 75 cents, no way in hell. Can't afford that. But $977.50. So it says I was quoted. Now, what it threw me a little bit He's got another email here. Like I said, I haven't replied. Sorry, Pete. With Photo Eyes, it's 12, or I'm sorry, it's 11.25. So $1,125. He didn't put the change. I think he's snowballing me. So I don't know I wonder what kind of Photo Eyes, because basically those are Genie openers, as far as I know. So are they just those little black ones? Because I don't know if Genie has. I can't think of off the top of my head that Genie has anything different than those ugly little black sensors. They work. I ain't gonna. But it's like when you go do a commercial job and you like I don't know if you guys feel the same. I know a lot of you guys don't do Genie, but it's like you're so used to using these at residential, and then you pull them out and you're like, really? I got to deal with these little black sensors for commercial? Oh, so it's always kind of weird. Oh, Rusty says just installed solar panels at my house today. Nice. Better send some pictures, Rusty. I want some pictures. How much is it? Is it go like into the grid? You're just going to be fully off of it? Um, any certain brands or makes or model? I know a builder around here. He's a roof contractor. Actually, he did one, man. He did a whole solar bank and stuff with batteries. It was pretty sweet. I mean, he did it for his basically his off grid hunt shack. Beautiful system. The guy was telling me he was running like a 220 pump. You know how it is too. Everything's new, but he was running like a 220 pump, and it only took it down to like 75%. Like he still had 75% left in the battery cells overnight running a 220 pump. I'm like, that's amazing. I said recovery time on it was really good. So some of that stuff's pretty cool. So anywho, the reason we were talking about the overhead openers is because the reason we got into it is you can direct couple those, right? And I know there's been a few. I think Marantech had one out there now. I don't know if it was commercial. I believe it was. So Marantech has one. Tanner talked about LiftMaster. The company, either they ordered them that way. He wasn't quite sure. We haven't done one yet. I did this years ago. I actually changed the pulley on the belt. Now, the problem I ran into is it sounded like the motor was hemorrhaging. Like it didn't like that ratio. So I have done it. I've made a bigger pulley at one time. I had a little fab shop here in town make me, weld on the right coupler as a test guinea pig. And the motor sounded like it, when they first kind of start up and they kind of got that, and then they run. It was longer of that, like it wasn't quick and snappy like it normally would. So, as far as I know, we never got any callbacks on those ones failing. But we did get callbacks on the Genies that I switched the belt out to because the belt was too tight, put too much pressure on the bearing. It will actually wear out the shaft, and then the pulley piece will fall on the ground and it could potentially hit somebody in the head. No, I don't recommend that. So either I got to go back to it, and I got to either drill out the motor so the motor is slidable because they're bolted. They don't have no slides. So, or you got to buy the belt from overhead. Whoa. Something just changed on me. Am I still here? Am I still here? What happened, YouTube? Take me back. I was live streaming. There we are. There we are. Something just like somebody took over my computer, it looked like. What's up? Ever After Entertainment. Yo, what's going on? What'd you work on today? What'd you do? You sit on the couch? Lose money on the couch? Sometimes you lose less money on the couch than you do out on some jobs. Genie makes direct couple commercial opener because what you got here? Rusty's got something. Genie makes a direct couple commercial operator because they always try to sell me on them. What? Come on, Rusty. You gotta be fudging me here, dude. You gotta send me this. If you get whatever the link is or the model, please let me know because I've never seen it. I've only seen them in the red ribbon, or overhead has them. The RSX, which RSX is basically, or even that one that whatever the ZM, RZ or RZM or whatever I said it was, overhead. Yeah, they make them, but they won't sell them as a Genie brand. Far as I know, if they do, let me know, man. We are some Genie fanboys here. I mean, I can even try to do a little quick Google search since the hotlines are kind of quiet here. Unless something came out, I need a memo. Genie do commercial, garage door opener. We need a jack shaft. And how should we do this? Shaft. Do direct, just to put it in there. See if they couple. I don't know if that's how you'd put it, couple. They got a GHLH. What is this? I don't think it's a. There's a jack shaft opener on here. I'm not seeing nothing right off the top of my head. That doesn't look like the normal stuff. Commercial. We got images. Electric garage door openers, new construction ratio fit, blah, 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 blah. Not seeing it. If anybody comes across it, let me know. Because it really irritates me. It's really irritated me over the years. And like I said, I haven't been on top of it as I was, 4 or 5 years ago when I was building my own, because I was getting so irritated that I couldn't, because just like that job, that video, you need to go watch that video if you haven't watched that video I put out today. That thing jumping like a, yeah. Kiddos got me sick today. Oh, snap. I hope I don't. I was working with Mr. Caleb, and he mentioned the other day, he goes, I got sinus something. I'm like, sweet. And I already been thinking I got something going, but I think I'm kind of over it. So I don't think it hit me. When I come back to America, he says, I'll tell you. Awesome. Let me know. Oh man, every actress guy, he says, threw up every hour since 6 a.m. Oh my gosh, dude, I feel for you. I know how I man, us guys, I'm not saying you, it's me, turn into like a big old baby, it's like, I don't know if it just hits guys. I think we're just babies. We're babies. That's how it is. But man, it just hits you hard, and you're like, can you bring me some chicken noodle soup? And, the women seem to fare through it, man. They got like 3 kids in their hands and they're one on the back, and they're all just like snotting a little bit, and they just roll, man. Dave, did you notice how loud the brake on that LiftMaster was? Same on the last J50 we installed. Yeah, I know the brake. The brake did seem very. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of startled me. It's kind of like, whoa. I'm not used to that. The Genies are more refined, I believe, with their brake assembly. LiftMaster always feels like it was an afterthought. Like, oh, let's just put this clutchy thing here with this like cylinder looking thing. It reminds me of a Linear or Nortec with their gate operators, and they got that electronic solenoid thing that always is just kind of clanky, junky, that pinches the little brake that really doesn't do much. It's just like there for like when it's new for a year and then it just wears out. I think I remember I replaced a few of the Genies brakes, but they're just solid. Whatever's in them, the mechanism, like they just suck. And I like the fact that you can also you can adjust them in the opener. You can turn them up. So I don't know if you can do that with LiftMaster, the J's. I mean, I'm assuming you can turn the little nut on the side, but I just like the Genies because you can turn it up or down, how hard it hits. So that's really nice. I do like that. But yeah, that one was noisy. I thought for sure I destroyed that opener when it was popping. It was making so much noise. I didn't get it. I got a comment here. I was reading for that actually because I mentioned that video, right? My phone's probably listening. It says Dave didn't understand the spring setup on that one inside drum, outside drum on one door. Yeah, it's kind of goofy, isn't it? I don't know I don't know if there's a terminology. Tanner might know something on it. He deals with a lot of big crap. I don't know. It's inside, outside hookups on those doors. It has both, like a regular bottom plate, and then it has, and the springs are separate. That's why when you can kind of see it in the video, the drums are on the inside like a standard door, and then the other ones are wider out doing the outside hookups. So crazy times. But yeah, Rusty, heard that noise. Like I said, I was kind of like, brakes a little noisy, little drag. but I think I got more video of it. I'll try to get some of it. Because I honestly I went back to it because that door was heavy. Um, so when the guy at the end, when he's kind of like, is the door going to stay up? I'm like, yeah, I'm like, it should, and I'm thinking, oh, I never knew that was part of the problem, that when it goes up, it's drifting. I seen it midway, but I was like, yeah, it should. And I was thinking, oh crap, I hope it does. Because but I didn't mess with the door. I should have messed with the door more. I was trying to get the opener running first, and I was gonna mess with it. Because I knew something was going on that I was overseeing. Um, so yeah. Do 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 do. Ever after, he says the worst part is I had to call into the new boss. Started at the garage door company 2 weeks ago. Oh man. Well, hopefully, if he's a you know if he's a good boss, and he's seasoned, he'll understand. You know what I mean? Like, it's like with me. 18 plus years into the business, and nowadays it's just, when it comes to, family, your health, things like that. I mean, you just gotta, I had a guy one time come to the shop. I mean, he was all puffered up, puckered up, I guess, and I could tell something was wrong. That's why sometimes when you're in business, it's almost like psychological warfare. You know what I mean? Come in, he's all just, I could tell he's, he drove the truck up on an angle or something. He just did something weird, like instead of the normal parking spot. He gets out, shoulders all down, just kind of like real upset. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, oh, man, my grandpa's in the hospital. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so why are you here? Well, I gotta work. Uh, Hey man, if your grandpa is on his deathbed, I sure as hell don't want you here. Go say your goodbyes. You know what I mean? Go do whatever you got to do. If it's putting you that, if it's that big a situation, which it is, I mean, it's once in a lifetime. Um, Bye. Work will be here. That's why it's the whole saying, right? It's good to be king, but the crown is very, very heavy. And I will pick up the slack. I will find somebody. I will call somebody. I will do it myself. I will reschedule. I will figure something out. And so if your health isn't, same thing is you can't do much, man. And I've been there. I've been there. I've had the craps. I've had the throw ups. I've had them come out, I think, every end at the same time. So you just, and as long as you're like not, the worst thing is like if you're out at the bar or like somebody, because everybody talks, that's the stuff. Oh, hey, I seen him at the movie theater. He looked fine. That's the stuff that's what? I seen him posting pictures on his boat, on Facebook. What? Do, do, do. How hard is it to change a gear sprocket in a 2026? I don't think I've ever done one. I don't think I've done it. I've never tear apart genies, honestly. The only thing I've ever done with genies was always either in the trolley on those screw drives or the coupler. Um, and maybe you did one for like a family member. I don't mess with them. I don't mess with the genies. The Chamberlains, I did a ton of those, right? The Chamberlain, the Liftmaster, the chain drives. But genies, for some reason, I don't tear apart. I don't know what it is. It's like they got that whole assembly in the gear, and normally like stuff breaks inside there, like it'll crack the housing. At least on some of the older stuff. And I'm kind of programmed now where I just kind of go, if it's that far, I just go, whoosh, we're gonna like I said, I always think of it as like a Bic lighter. That's just me, not everybody, and everybody's time and situation is always different. But I don't fix Bic lighters, right? I don't. I just go to the gas station, I get another one. Now, if it's a Zippo, yeah, it's got some memories on it. It's a good piece of whatever, yeah, I fix the Zippos, but the Bic lighters, kind of like genies, some of the parts on them, unless it's real cut and dry. But nowadays, everything's getting to be so it's just not worth it. If you're charging, let's say 405, or you're charging $80, even $120, $160 an hour, by the time you're messing with it, it doesn't add up for me anyways. Do 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 do. What's the 2026? Let me look at that real quick too. Isn't that really cheap one? Like, isn't that the really skinny little crappy blackhead? Do 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 do. The numbers have changed over the years so much I don't even pay attention. I'm just like opener, opener. Okay, opener. It's got camera, got camera. Okay, opener got Wi-Fi, it's got Wi-Fi. Da, 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 da. Where did it go? It's a 2026. Genie. Let's take a look. Ooh. How to program. It looks, is this the gray one? It's like a cylinder. I had a lady that had the blue cover ones. And it was like, no, we don't even mess with that. Of course, it's not popping up right away. It's probably confused on the years. I'm looking up the images. Genie 26 right there. I'll put a garage door opener. Door opener. Come on. I mean, it's showing this one. It's kind of showing the little black head up here, but here's another 120. Okay, this one says overhead on it. How do you program? I don't know, man. It's looking like the skinny stuff. I'm not seeing the built ones. I mean, what is it, like the 40s? You got to get into like the 40 something. Those are the big daddies, the bigger power ones. 2026. I feel like the 26 was like our cheapest one we'd sell. And for me, it's like I'd rather just take a haircut on selling a new opener and walk away and then tear that puppy open and go, oh, well, it needs this. But I know sometimes it might be only something, a year old or whatever. My opinion, whoever originally installed that door should have used inch and a quarter shaft. Oh, that's probably a good idea. By the way, row of springs wouldn't flex as much. Yeah, Kevin, you're probably right. That install. So here's something just for food for thought. I see we got a few likes. Don't forget to hit the like button. This helps bring more people in if you guys wouldn't mind. I'd appreciate it. So that install. So, here's kind of the thing, right? Here's kind of the bananas. Cap originally went out there. He sold them on to openers, right? It was drifting. A door of that nature, anyways. When you get to stuff like that all those doors, in my opinion, I would have quoted the job probably with brakes. When you get into big doors like that, I just want brakes on them. You know what I mean? Just because things give. I had to put a turn on each spring. So I told you how heavy that door was. That door was heavy. And there's 4 of them. And so this company that does this, and I mentioned one time when I was kind of young and dumb, I guess. I don't know. I mentioned to the owners of that company one time. I told them their installer, like they will literally use, the longest stick, 10-foot stick of commercial perforated angle. And you will literally watch on some of the installs they do, the openers going like this. It's going side to side. You're like, holy moly. And so the way this company works, this is my theory. And you're right, Dave. This is how Eureka. You're right. You're on the right trail. Let me know. Email me. You can keep it discreet if you wanted to. However, but and I thought about this. Right? I thought about you could do this too. When you do new installs, what I've noticed over the years, you can get away with a lot on a new garage door install. You don't have to do a really good job. It'll probably make it a year and a half, 2 years. Once you hit about the 1.5 2 years, that's when the problems will start arising. Now, this one was, I think these are 3-year-old doors. I think somewhere 2 to 3 years old. The problems are starting to arise. And so there were struts out there missing screws. So I could tell it was a fast install. The springs, like I said, the brackets. Stuff was smiling on the shaft. So the bigger shaft would have definitely helped. But this company, right? I won't say who, they do this all the time. And I think they do pretty good, honestly. And they're just big enough where the builders really don't want to deal with somebody else. And so you can get away with murder is what I'm trying to say. And they just go and install. And then what they do is they got like 5 locations around the general area in the half of the state here, half side, quarter state. I don't know. And I think they gang up. They'll gang up. So then they'll kind of disperse back out, do their normal service calls, residential, blah, 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 commercial. And then when they get these big jobs, they they gang back up and they will boom, pow these things out. And I mean, the one builder was telling me like they do it with like dirt floors. I mean, they'll just, and I'm like, well, on one hand, if that's all you're catering to in a sense, like it's kind of better to do it when there's dirt floors, right? Because nobody else is going to be in your way, right? The electricians don't want to be there, the plumbers. So you get your crap up first. And now it's like, haha, deal with my crap. It's, oh, you're going to put a heat duct there? Not my problem. My door is there. Figure it out. And then normally as contractors, we do, right? So I think there's a little rhythm to their madness. They bid a job, they made their money. They might potentially get service out of it, but what's happening, I noticed we got two companies that are doing this. They install and then it's like they don't do their follow-ups, because we had another company, a different company that did one of our customers in a sense, but then now we service the doors, but they put the track way too tight. Just a mess, and they don't oil nothing. I mean, it's like they don't go above. It's just they just power through them. They get paid. They go on to the next big job. So, but I think there's something to that madness, because like I said, I've looked at it before and I went, if you're at least you're dealing with new stuff all the time and you can schedule it, because new buildings are kind of on a timeline in a sense, you could kind of predict it. So that's just my cuckoo theory stuff. See, Tony's in the house. Let me keep going down the rabbit hole here. Check this, make sure the phone's good. Okay. So Kevin, though, I think you're on the right track. But I just wanted to give you kind of a picture where I was at. Like I said, it wasn't my original install. I think honestly, it was a little bit misdiagnosed. I think we could have actually just kept the opener, just more turns, more securement. I don't even know how they got away with that in a sense, because I'm pretty sure Cat put the spreader bar on the original one. So yeah. But you could see why. It was a tight spot. They had the cabinet there, or that air duct, whatever, that blows outside the fan. They mounted above. I mean, my big thing was I just didn't know if I could hook it to the bottom brackets, the outside hookups. I was like, man, I just don't know. And I was trying to get with Mr. Tanner, but we couldn't make the stars align in the appropriate time. I could have pulled out a Hail Mary and probably called him and say, hey, can I call you on something? But he might not even know either. He might be like, Rusty says, Kevin, I'm wondering why they had to use double setup anyway. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why they don't go like duplex. That's not the first. That's a Clopay, right? That's a Clopay door, I'm pretty sure. Because that's all they deal with, that company. They deal with Clopay. I don't know why. I've seen that twice now. There's a DPW that they did that too. And to me, it's like, holy bananas, man. A lot of moving parts. Like I don't like duplex springs. They suck to wine and all that, but I would deal duplex all day versus more cables. Because I know one of the cables is starting to get that just a teeny little twist. We got to go back and actually do PMs. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, so, like everybody's got different controversy on the cables, right? So if you change one cable, do you change all the cables? I'd probably just do one. But what's up, big dog? What's up, Mr. Tony? Hope you had a good day. Probably, what does it say? Kevin says probably high cycle springs. They're big 6-inch springs. So 4 springs in line. He says been too long of the door. Maybe. But if you would have went with the 1.25 inch shaft and then you would have supported it correctly, and it just save a lot of mumble jumble, in my opinion. So I don't know. I mean, it had good bearings on it. It had the greasable bearings, at least on the ends. I'm not gonna lie, that one gave me a lot of anxiety. I was like, how you get to that point where you're just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm just like, what really triggered it is the fact that I put a bigger opener on it and now it's popping like a son of a gun, and I got more support in there than originally. I'm going like, how is this even happening? Like, what am I overlooking? Might have been duplex already. Ooh, I don't think so, because isn't there like, there's something that triggers in my brain when I see duplex on the comb. So I don't think they were, but I'll take a look. We got to do PMs there, and so if I go, I'll double check, see if they're duplex. I don't think they are. What's up, Joe? Why is my door hitting the frame when the door starts to close? Ooh. And how do I fix it? Ooh, you better call the experts out. So Joe, it depends on like if you're talking about like the placement of the bracket, the bottom bracket, if they don't have an edge on it, it could the track is too close. I'm sure the guys can mention a few more things that I'm missing. There could be, if somebody's like Rich B was telling me one time, right? If weather seal like this U shape and they try to peel it down to adjust because you have concrete that's off. There's a lot of little factors that can add up into that. Might be something to get somebody out there and take a look. It shouldn't be too bad or too expensive. Maybe sometimes too, what happens if your jams, this is another one that just came to my brain. If your jams aren't flush, like they put a new door in or something, and then they had wood on the side and it sticks over a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, that can catch. That stuff all needs to be flush. I put the white glove right around the whole frame. When you're mounting a garage door, everything needs to be flush. The spring pad, everything, the track. So that'd be something. And if you need more help, Joe, you can always send me some pictures. Shoot me an email to daveadubson@gmail.com. I put it in the description below. Shoot me an email, some pictures. Pictures are good. Pictures, overall, close up, whatever. Got video. Send me a little video. I can always give you my number too. You can always shoot me a little message or video over the phone. And like I said, we can see if we can help you out. Ever after, it's like a big one. Kevin says, just depends of the engineering, that sprocket. Outdoor too, he says, sometimes they make you scratch your head. Yeah, it was, I would have loved to direct couple this one. If it was a clean slate back there, that wall, it's kind of one of those things. I'm sure some of you guys understand, but I put so much time in preparing for that job. It'd make you go bonkers. I probably at least had a day, at least a day. I might have had two. It was over like a weekend or something. I don't know, but I mean, I got concrete anchors. I got the hammer drill ready. I got, you know how it is. Like you got to make sure all their batteries are charged. I got wood, big chunks of wood, because I'm assuming I'm already going to mount wood to this puppy so I can adjust it. And then as we got there and we started progressing in it, it's like I'm going, wait a minute, we're taking down a J50. We're putting up, I don't know if it's called a J50, it's probably J1 or something. I don't know. It's bigger. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, hey, you know what? The back should be the same, right? The case. And I'm not gonna lie, it felt kind of cheesy putting up the same opener again, except this one just has a bigger motor and a brake. It's like I just glanced. I didn't inspect hardcore, but I was thinking all the internals look the same. Like there's no nice bearing on it. It's like the brass fittings and stuff. And when I first fired that thing up, before I put the spreader bars and put it on the other side, I had that thing's like to the point of like I was like, I might be a little tight. You know what I mean? Like that might be a little too tight. Like I'm gonna prematurely wear out a shaft or a bearing. And I was like, I don't care because I need this thing super tight, and I want it to run, and then I'll touch things and I'll feel it and I'll go, oh, it's still like okay, everything's settled in because everything stretches, and everything moves. But it got so bad. I mean, I ended up the spreader bars on the one side when I did the would it be the right side? I ended up putting screws to that darn thing to make sure those things still couldn't compress and slide on me. Just trying to take out all the factors. You know what I mean? I put big screws in the spreader bars. Like, eat this, you son of a biscuit. Heavy duty. I would have loved though if I had a direct couple that. Everything's in the case. Nothing. I never had chains ever skip a beat on me inside a case. Inside the opener. But when you get that chain out there, and I'm hoping to have some video out of when I went back to reprogram the remote, we got the truck in there and I could hear it. It popped. I went, oh my gosh, I know exactly what just happened. And so I had to go back up there and play with it again. And I was very thankful. At least the lift was still there. But and I think maybe a little bit of it too was that Caleb didn't reef down, and it was my fault too, because I didn't tell him like, hey man, crank the crap out of that stuff. Because when you're dealing with concrete too, if you go reefing on those bolts, all of a sudden she pops out of the concrete and you're like, oh, it's just spinning now. So I hate working with concrete. I normally I should have done it. I didn't recognize the opener was already crooked a little bit from the get-go. When we mounted it, I'm sitting there kind of scratching, going like, that thing's crooked, like how do you adjust the crookedness of it? It's been crooked. Well, I'm just going to hook it up the way it was crooked before. All right. Then it popped. That's why I said when we went to the other side, I think it's going to be a better marriage. And it was. It worked like a dream. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Tony Scott, Joe, check your rollers. The bottom two rollers. Yeah, check the rollers. Maybe they're bad too, right? I guess if they go bad, they could make it shove. Joe, is the door, what does it say? Bowed. Ooh, is it bowed out from a car hitting it? How far back should the vertical track be from frame? I don't think there's a magic number to that. Yeah, as I say right here, Rusty's guy says Joe depends on thickness of door. That's correct. Ooh, it's new. I would, if it's new, Joe, did you do it yourself or did you get a contractor out there? Because I mean, this would be perfect for. I'd be calling somebody, be like, "Can you come out and look at this when you get a chance?" Something's not right. And there is a difference, right? I know I've said this before, guys, right? You can pretend you're the opener, go up there and hit, hold the J arm. If you got a jack shaft, or not jack shaft, but if you got a trolley opener in the center, like a normal garage door, push on it, right? And it'll act different than if you pull on it, right? If you pull on it, it might come down because you're pulling it back. But sometimes it can lunge differently. And sometimes you get a helper or something, a wife, a kid or something to do that. And you can see it. Just be careful. You pull that disconnect, depending on, somebody didn't do something right. But you're ready, that door come do something funny on you, especially if you're not a seasoned vet. Rusty. Oh, Rusty's got the right questions here. Look at him. Out of state and just working away. Did you install it? He says yes. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that answers that. Joe, if it's new, what does Tony says, Joe, if it's new, it says bad installer. Which type of door and where the flag bracket's attached already? He says, Joe says, I hear you. Oh man. Tony says, how thick is your door, Joe? It says brand of door. He says 1 3/8 or 2-inch. 2-inch. I like my 2-inch. What's he got here? Rusty says, look at your flag brackets and see if they are out as far as possible. That's true. That's true. Flag bracket is where side and top track meet. At the flag where the vertical horizontal meet 2 3/4 inches. Clopay hole install is new. Tony says 2 3/4 inch. Joe. Perfect. Tony's got it too. That's where the horizontals and vertical meet. Joe says that's where it hits at the flag bracket. Yeah, I have a feeling, Joe too. Do you got any? Like I said, if you right where that door, like if this is your jam. See if I can do this. Your jam needs to be flush. Like I don't know if you have any trim on there, any wood trim that you didn't take off that protrudes into where, like, if you look at your flag brackets where you're mounting everything, like if you were to take your hand and slide it like out into the opening, like it shouldn't catch anything. I see a lot of people don't take that little chunk of wood, or you got to almost take a sawzall, which is a real pain in the hiney. I don't really recommend it. Or something, and get that flush. I see so many times, because realistically your track should have been bumped out, shimmed out. You know what I mean? Sometimes I've brung a 3/4 inch board, 1 inch, 1x4s, and I've packed them out to make them flush again. That can be problematic. I don't know if you also hope if you don't have 45s, but either way, if you still can't figure it out, shoot me some pictures and stuff. Do me an email. We'll get myself and the guys on it. Somebody will catch something. We'll figure something out. We got a grinder, got a torch, we got duct tape. We'll figure something out. That's where the horizontals is. What's this says? Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. What's up, Rich? True that, Dave. Flush. It seems like, it's just so many rookies in a sense, new installers and everything. And I've done it when I used to do it. I used to cheat. And you know, you'd be like, it's fine. I got adjustment, right? And there's just not enough adjustment to get them back. So you got to get those, got to get rid of that wood or whatever is right there. And sometimes, I mean, it looks like it should be there, and if you do it, it's going to be a problem. So you got to make a judgment call. And I still have not really found the best way to ever shim. I've taken sawzalls and went flush down them to cut them off. They're real pain in the hiney. I ain't gonna lie, And then if the thing's not attached, that good, it's all shaking and the paint's chipping. It's but if it's your own, go to town, have fun. Um, Joe's got thank you all for the help. No problem, Joe. If you need more, like I said, pictures help. Pictures help. We can just smell in the pictures. We're like, oh yeah, there's the problem. Are you a new garage door guy or just homeowner that installed yourself? Homeowner Joe's got. That's all good. It's all good. That's what we're here for. I think Rusty's thinking about hiring you, Joe. He got to you first. Dang it. Now your seasoned vet. He says, see, it even says right here, it says, do you want a job? Son of a biscuit. Joe, I'll do seconds. We can have a bid war. We should see where Joe's at. Joe, where you at? If you don't mind, put a state, city, or just state. Tony's Garage Door Service. Joe, on your track bracket at the top, you can put washers in between the track and wood. Ooh, I wonder if you would do that on the whole flag bracket or just the bottom, right in that kind of that radius. It's always kind of that whole radius area is always a booger, isn't it? Like, I mean, you got to normally I try to V them out a little bit so your rollers don't make a bunch of clacky noise in there on those bottom fixtures. And then, then you're fighting spring you got your springs up, then you're fighting, your back hangs, depending on what you got for back hangs. Those little boogers. I've even cheated before, like you pull the track out and you just drill holes in the flag. You just catch like the very edge or something if you have to. I try not to get myself in those situations. I've learned over the years with garage doors, everything is a mathematical engineer. And if you don't put it into a clean hole, it's a nightmare. You'll get the gift that keeps on giving. What's this? Is it Unistrut washers? Ooh. Are you talking about like the ones that got the little flare? Rich, you have to send me a picture. Are you talking about like the ones that got the little flares on them? Rich, I have lost chunks of fingers from those things. What are you guys talking about? The Unistrut washers? You talking about like the ones that got the little clamp piece? Is that what we're talking about? Unistrut washer. Now I'm curious. Somebody's got to send me a picture. We're just talking like the regular ones, right? They come like the old school. They got that little flare to them. They're like almost like a V shape, kind of bigger. Yeah, okay. The square ones, huh? The square ones. Yeah, he says a little triangle looking thing, Dave, is what Tony's got. Yeah, I'm assuming. Lost your finger? How you guys lose your finger? I've never got pinched or seen any hazards with those things. What do? They spin on you or something? It's kind of honestly, for a long time, I never really knew what they were, so I never did them. I was always kind of a big person too. Like, I never put the struts really over the hinges. I was like, that's stupid because you've ever got to work on it, But I've learned over the years the hinges are pretty much where all the structure is in those sandwich doors. So I screwed up bad one time. Did a Wayne Dalton door. It was like I think it was an 8,500, I think. And they came with Z struts. I didn't read the instructions. I was like, man, whatever. This thing's 20 foot wide or whatever. I put those Z struts in the center, just started screwing them. We're good. I'm not hitting nothing. I put a few extra in there. Luckily that thing's not in service anymore. The building caught on fire. So I was thank you. because I knew at some point in his life those struts were going to probably come down. So at least it was going to be a service call that something's hanging and we should have you come look. And then it's going to be like, let's just put screws in there, and obviously it goes somewhere else, probably on the hinges, because like those sandwich doors, at least like with Wayne Dalton, right? They put little squares. I've torn them apart. They only put one extra layer. It's like the same kind of skin on the backside. They just put one more in there for your hinges to screw into. And then they do some that are called a continuous strip, where they'll put that piece about whatever it is, 4 inches along the whole top, so you can put your hinges anywhere. But in the center, it's just tinfoil and foam. That's pretty much what it is. And so, yeah, not good, not good, not good operator. I see Rich sent me some. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I think this is what Rich sent me. Johnny on the spot. If it'll pull up. Holy moly, what are these crazy looking things? Oh, man, what do those things do? Spin on you? That's a goofy looking. Oh, I think John's sending me. Cheers, he says. Look at this. Right? Is that it? I've never seen those. I've seen the ones that look kind of like that, but let me see what it says. Channel square washer. Definitely looks like electrical kind of stuff. Like electricians would use it. I don't play the Sparky too much. Let's see what old. Oh, snap. Is this Sky? Cheers. Sky's sending me some stuff. I was cleaning and waxed. Ooh, snap, dog. I think I can show this because it doesn't show nothing. Look at that. Look at that, man. Caleb would be all digging that. Look at that, man. Look at the Ford Ranger, man. The Ford Ranger. Sweet. Looks good, Sky. You got it all cleaned up, wax, he said. Nice. That's awesome. That's a good looking little truck. That is a good looking little truck, man. I like that. Love it. Got the ladders back there. You know what's weird? I've noticed. I don't know why. The Nissan doesn't suck things out of the back of it. I don't know. I don't know why. Now my big F6 or my F250, but I had the insert. Man, the wind would come over that thing so violently, and it would just suck 6-foot ladders right out of it. Gone. I mean, you had to literally ratchet strap things in there twice. It wasn't just throw one over there and give her the whack. That's not going nowhere. Hell no, man. It'd be like tables, cardboard, ladders. I mean, it was the wind would come down in there, and it just didn't matter what was in the bed of that truck, that insert I had, it just gone. You know what? Maybe part of it, I think I ended up putting, now I think of it, I feel like I did it before this, but I ended up taking dunnage. Do you guys use the word dunnage? I put dunnage on the top, screwed it down. So when you put doors up there, they wouldn't fall through or track or something. And that could have been making like a huge wind tunnel, like a mouth. And it was just wham, man, thing threw everything out of the truck. Rich Scott says they're 1 1/4 square and about 1 in thick. And you guys have dealt with these on garage doors? These little square things? Right here. Anybody? I've never seen that on a garage door. I've seen the ones that are like an angle, if that's what we're talking about. They got kind of like that little flare to help push on the strut. Kind of old school, like wood doors. A lot of wood doors had those. I don't know, kind of weird. Says Dave, do you buy a truck for the guys when it's worn out or every so many years? Well, I don't know what's going to happen because the vans are getting old. And if anybody's got any good input, I know Rich B does some hunting. He does some hunting down there and stuff like that. He's got some research, and anybody else, you're more welcome to throw your hat in the ring. I'm ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of clueless right now for what's a newer vehicle reliable. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm assuming the vans haven't changed, the Chevy Express vans. Um, I don't know if they're still using an 8 speed or a 10 speed right now in the new vans. I'm assuming they haven't gone to the fuel active manager. I've been hearing a lot of 6.2s having problems. The lifter and cam problems, eating up cams. Um, I see a company around here. I think he's kind of a big Dodge guy though. And they drive those Dodge. I like the Dodges because they're a little bit taller, which would be great because as we get older, bending over is just not as fun. And then there's the Ford. Now I think the Fords do pretty good, right? And I think I don't know if they still call them the transit vans, the bigger ones. But I feel like there's been some changes in there, and they got the Eco, and I thought there was some good years and there's some bad years, and I'm not up to date on what's good or bad. I really wish there was something I knew that's been out for 8-10 years that they haven't changed. And then I also like our garage door company vendor. They lease from Penske, and I thought, well, maybe you could do a box truck, but I'm sure you're gonna have, maybe not. Maybe they could just give you a white one. I don't know what that runs. That's something I'm a big fan nowadays of either leasing, renting, because they're just expenses, they're money pits, they depreciate, but it's got to make financial sense. Um, Submy noise works nice too, because then they don't do much crazy stuff. They try to take care of their own stuff. So yeah, not so many. I haven't been so gun ho about it. Our mileage has dropped way off. So vans that we used to, by now those vans would have had all of 200,000 miles on them or plus. I think one van's still at 80. They're most of them, I think all of them are either 16 or 17s, and they all have under like basically 150,000. One has 80, one has 120, one might have 130, 140. So that's why, you can make your vans go longer too if you're staying closer, or your trucks or vehicles. It definitely has made a big difference, us cutting out all that long travel stuff. Rich B's guys, I've used them to shim out flag brackets. Oh, okay. Okay. That's a good idea. Buy a little package of them or something. That's not a bad idea. I've used, I always just use shims, but honestly, I think the squares would work better because the shims all twist around and they look kind of janky. So I've always thought they should come out with something that was a little bit bigger that's not a bad idea. Just learn something. Kevin's guy says, I thought you were converting to horse and buggy. Darn right, man. It's getting close. It is getting close. Should, man. I tell you, the vehicle stuff right now is absolutely ridiculous what's going on. I'm hoping that we can see some relief now that, Mr. Trump's in, and maybe we're getting off this EV, and maybe the manufacturers, I don't know how it all works. Maybe they can get some relief a little bit. I was thinking about it today, how I'm going a little off topic here, but how stupid consumers are, right? Because I was watching a guy, I think it's the car guy or something, car nut guy, I can't remember. And he was talking about like Toyota, and Toyota's got all kinds of problems right now with their new V6 turbo and the Tundras, all kinds of problems. And he was saying how Toyota's talked about coming out back with a V8. And he goes, I don't think it's going to happen, because when you look at the numbers, right, what the V6 twin turbos can do compared to a V8, if you try to twin turbo a V8, it's going to be a gas hog. It's going to suck, but it's not going to work. It's just going to be not EPA friendly. And he was saying that so when Ford came out, you know, and it's really sad to see, but all these like you never notice like even like Chevy, you know, when they had their 6.6 Duramax or whatever, right? Ford came out with a 6 liter, the 6.0. It's like they're, how do you say it? Like I don't even know the whole demographic. I know in my head, but I can't spell it out. You know, I can't say it out. It's like it's like we're all in the same, like you're just kind of picking the dirty shirt, right? That's how I always like to say it, right? The cleanest shirt out of the dirty laundry basket. Like they all suck. It's just like which one's a little better. You know what I mean? Where it's like we don't have that golden age anymore, right? Like when our grandparents, right? You know, like when you used to go in their house, right? And they have a fridge that's been there for like 40 years, you know, things built, you know, like my wife's grandpa, he's that type. Like he's told me in the industry and building and stuff like that, like how they would, you know, Bob thinks he's going to bake something down the street that's going to last 40 years. We'll make ours last 60. Watch this. And, you know, and people like bought that, you know what I mean? Longevity, where now it's just a throwaway society. And all this stuff is just, it's just garbage. It's just garbage. Like, um, you know, either you can't work on it, they're charging. I was watching something the other day and they're talking about how, you know, this stuff has doubled in price or tripled in price. And the guy's like, has your wages doubled and tripled? I'm like, look at all this stuff, man. Anyways, the reason was is Ford came out one with the EcoBoost. The EcoBoost had numbers, and that's the problem, the performance of it, not the reliability, the performance. And there's people out there, that, oh, I gotta have the biggest, baddest thing, and then people go buy it. Where I think we just got to quit buying, which they are. There's people not buying some of this stuff. There's stuff I've been hearing. You know, KTM, I guess, has a lot of motorcycles, the dirt bikes, and that. I was listening to today, so it's out there. It's kind of happening, but I don't know if it'll be enough. You know, what I mean, this stuff's already trickling in, right? And we're kind of being spoon fed, you know what I mean, force fed this stuff, and it just kind of sucks. And then some of the stuff you can't get parts for. I've been hearing about cam lifters, all the problems they've had. They don't harden them right. They come from China now instead of the U.S. or something like that. I mean, it's you eventually get pushed that way because you're like, I can't have this piece of machinery down, whatever you're driving or equipment, unless you have backups, you know, but most people don't have, you know, 3, 4 vehicles for backups. So it's just mind numbing. Rich guy says fuel management sucks. Is taking out a lot of engines. Yes, it is. The cams, it's just I, you know, I think I was watching a guy talk about the 4-cylinder Chevy, and he was saying how it's a full size. I think it's like a 1500, and he was saying how that engine hasn't had any problems, but it's because like it meets the EPA stuff. But I think it's a hybrid of some sort. I forget, right? And who wants a 4-cylinder though? So it gets looked down upon. But the guy was kind of making some valid points. He's like, but this engine hasn't had any problems or cam problems. He's like, but all these other trucks have. And he's like, yes. He's like, this truck is however it works. I don't remember if it was I don't remember exactly, but I was like, I can't disagree with this guy. Like you know, it's kind of like if you ever bought like a Kubota, like I buy skidsters and stuff like that. If you stay under a certain horsepower, I can't think of it off the top of my head, you don't have to have the DEF, you know, system, the regen. But if you go above a certain horsepower, you got to have it, you know. So that's kind of why that 4-cylinder related a little bit, where I was like, I get it. What are you gonna do? You know. Doo-doo. Whoa. Rusty says gas is about 15-20 a gallon this week. And is it the Haiti? Man, that's expensive. Wow. Wow. I get me a horse and buggy. I get me a mule. I'm getting me a pedally bike. Oh my goodness. That's pricey. That is pricey, no doubt. But no, if anybody's got anything or any kind of research or emails, or YouTube videos on anything that they've kind of followed along that they think are pretty reliable for, it could be I kind of like the mid-size small trucks to the vans. I don't think we have any use for any full-size trucks. You know, send it to me because I'll definitely take a look. Because there's something that's got to happen eventually. I just don't know which way it's going to go. My guess is probably back with a Chevy. I don't think they mess with the Chevy, the 2500s or 3500s so much. The transmissions they sound like they got a little bit of a weakness to them, around 80 to 120. But that might just be what we're dealing with. They hit that mark, whatever, they got to go down the road. It just kind of, it's just crummy. It's just crummy. I found out later on that new van, the one that got back in 17, a wire chewed a mouse chewed the wire, and come to find out, they a lot of these modern cars have soy wires. It's more biodegradable, and so what do mice like to chew? Well, that's why they chew your wires. Now it's funny because at the time I didn't know it. My uncle tells me after I'm on the phone, I get off the phone, he's there or something. I said, "Yeah, it's stinking brand new van." I said, "It's only got 300 miles on it, and supposedly a mouse chewed the wires, and it's in a guy's heated garage." I had a hard time believing it, but I was so excited. We just got the truck wrapped. And then, the worst part about it, right? This is so we ended up getting the vehicle wrapped. Everything's good, right? I get it back. I'm literally taking it to the dealership, and I'm going across the highway. There's no overpass. We're just going across this little highway here. And the cars in front of me all lock their brakes up. I lock my brake up, right? Almost hit the car in front of me, right? That whole and next thing I know, as I'm boom. Oh my gosh. And all I thought about in my head was like, "Oh my gosh, I just got rear-ended." And I'm thinking the back doors are caved in. And I'm thinking, "Son of a biscuit." I'm going, "I just got this truck wrapped." It took whatever it was, it was down for a week or something for him to wrap it and on his schedule and all this. And I'm going, "Oh my gosh." Like, everything's cool, right? I got insurance, everything's good, but I'm just going, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to get new doors put on the van. They're going to be bright white. This van's going to be down for golly, who even knows, another month, 2 or 3, taking it and get doors, bumper, and then I got to take it to the guy to get wrapped, like rewrapped. He's already complained about certain things and how to make things line up. He takes a lot of pride in his work, whatever, blah blah. And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh!" And of course, the guy's an hour some way, right, one way. And I'm just like, and the reason I'm going down here is first place is because it was in his garage. And I can't say it was him for sure, but it's in his garage. It's clean. It's not like he parked it in the back of the woods or something, and a mouse chewed the wire supposedly. And I got because I had a voltage light on. And so I was taking it. The reason I was only going down there is because I was taking it to the damn dealership to get fixed. And now I just got rear-ended. That's why I tell you guys sometimes uh, it's like the sneakers, right? Back when you're in school or you're at church or whatever, brand new sneakers, brand new shoes, all polished up, right? And somebody steps back in the lunch line or whatever, and they step on your brand new shoes, and you're going, "What the? Nobody's hit my shoes in months." And the first day, it's like you're almost like you're focusing energy from the universe, like, "Oh, don't step on my shoes. They're nice and pretty white. They're brand new." Boom, somebody steps on them. Or always the joke was right when you're in school, like, "All new shoes, stomp." you know, now they're dirty. That's how a new vehicle sometimes works. Just how it goes. Do 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 do. Rusty's guy says, "I like my Chevy, the 2022 2500 because it's still the 6 speed." Yep, 6 speeds were good. "And I don't need the 10 speed." Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree. I don't know for sure still what the vans have. Um, I think they're right on that fence. I don't know. I got to probably check on the VIN or something, do more research. Every time I think of it, I'm like, they haven't gone out yet. So there's, then it's like I hear, if you take them in for service, that's worse because the old fluid's keeping them together. So it's kind of like, and you're, like I said, you're right around that, like, should be doing some maintenance. Um, Only problem was a radiator at 88. That's not too bad as long as it didn't cook it. I know some of them too are getting where some of these vehicles. The only reason I know is because of Nissan, but Nissan had a problem. Some older ones, the mid-sized trucks, right? They were mixing the coolant and the transmission. Come on, guys, just give us separate radiators, please. Radiator for the transmission, or radiator, for the engine. Come on, don't mix them together. Sometimes a lot of Mickey problems nowadays. I know, and you got to be an engineer to figure some of the stuff out. Like I said, on my what was that back in even 08, 2008 when I had my Super Duty. You popped the hood on that, and it was like, where's the air filter on this thing? I mean, it looked like Transformers, man. Like it looked like everything was moving, hoses and metal and tubes and that. And I was like, well, I shut the hood and it was like, well, at least it's a diesel, so I'll never have to work on a diesel, right? Diesels run forever like semi trucks. Yeah, right. Well, that guy must have knew because he was queuing me off. He's like, if you're gonna keep this, he goes, I'd probably do some deletes. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. I didn't know it. You know, I'm like, delete what? You know, the problem was I just came from a Cummins and I came from what was it, an O2? I think it was an O2 that I had Cummins. So I didn't hear anything about these deletes or EGRs or emissions or DEF or anything. And after I started driving, and of course, I just bought that truck too. I bought it over in Detroit, Michigan. Driving home, wife was following me, and what a horror story, right? I'm driving. I get I'm probably about 3 quarters way home. All of a sudden, just getting kind of used to the truck. All right, things are good, right? Ding! All of a sudden, the voltage light comes on. I'm like, mother fudger! I'm like, he sold me a lemon, and I'm thinking, there ain't no way. I drove it around with them. I mean, what's the odds of a voltage light? This is just a random. This must be a given, and anyways, get home, get on the internet, which is barely, the dial up, looking at it and it's, could have one alternator, could have two alternators. I'm like, oh my gosh. Looking at alternators are like $300 a piece. I'm like, I could be 320 or 340 or 600 and some dollars or $700 in alternators on this thing. Oh my gosh. What did I buy? I didn't do my homework. Obviously. So luckily it was only one. After I started tearing into it and got to it, I found there was a, inner fender that was rubbing up against it. I guess it's pretty common to pinch a wire. So a little solder and a little heat tape got her fixed. But what an inconvenience, brand new truck. Oh, man, I tell you, not brand new, but new to me. It happens. It happens, even on brand new trucks. That's why I bought the brand new van. The van was like nothing but a problem. The next van we didn't buy. We bought that from a drywall guy. I only had 30,000 on it. That was always been a pretty solid van. Doo-doo. Rusty says biggest killer of trucks in Pennsylvania is salt. Yes, rust them away before 200,000. Exactly. We have the same problem in Michigan. They put that brine and that calcium or whatever. They mix it with the salt to activate it, and that stuff is just horrible on trucks. So that's why, like I said, if there was a company, and if anybody knows a company, if it was like another 100 or $200 probably roughly than a car payment, I'd probably just go that route. I'd just lease a vehicle, throw an insert in it or something like that, whatever. You lease it for 3 years and you send it on its way because it's just like I don't buy used power tools anymore. I don't really want to buy. I don't mind buying used vehicles with a little, 20, 30,000 on them or something like that. But it's just they just get to be so problematic nowadays, and we just don't have time to take them in, and then it just, it's a problem. Kevin's guy says that's why we don't buy diesel box and frame rust out. He says before you get the benefit of a higher mileage engine, right? Right. Yep. Yep. I honestly I drove that box truck, the not ready. It was the U-Haul, and that had the 7.3 in it, the Ford, that was a F650, the 7.3 Godzilla motor, and that was a nice truck. I mean, for the motor wise, plenty of power, nice rumble to it. I've heard those have, I think it's 1 out of 100 is what I hear roughly with my vague internet searches, that they have problems. And I know, you know how it is. You always got to take this stuff with a grain of salt because all it takes is 3 videos out there that blows up the internet. But there's 100,000 of them out there that haven't had any problems. But that was a good, I kept thinking, man, if I was going to go a big truck, I would gladly, like today I was looking at diesel prices. I think we're at 288 and I think we're at 327 or something like that for diesel. And for me, man, I love the diesels. You know what I mean? I love the power and all that kind of stuff, but I agree. The motor and powertrain might last, but they'll rot out before you'll ever get the benefits. All the old Dodges around here, same thing, problem. But it's just, you don't have as many options for mechanics. It's harder for me to even work on them. There's just every time it's like when you change the oil, some people change the fuel filter every time. And when you start adding it up, it's like, oh my gosh, this is 170. This is 240. This is $300 just for every oil change. And then Do you do it 3,000? Do you do it 5,000? Do you do it 10,000? You should do it 10,000. You can do 10,000. You do synthetic. Well, I'm a believer. I'd rather do more. And on a gasser, I just rather do 3,000. Change it more often. Conventional oil, keep it clean, right? And you're good. And so diesels just always have that weird nuance. You gotta make sure you're getting good clean fuel. Where do you buy your fuel? Do you use fuel additive? The fuel additives add up a lot. Where we just don't have that with gas, right? The fuel pumps just run. They just run. I mean, I never see videos where people go, "Well, it's the fuel we're using." That's what's killing these electric pumps. That's what took out the injectors. But boy, on the diesels, right? Any contaminants, DEF fluid in there, it wipes those puppies out. It's a $10,000 repair, and I'm just like, yeah. Could you imagine? Like, I can't imagine trying to let my employees or something. You know, getting that phone call. Hey, boss, I think I put gas in it. I'm 5 miles down the road. What? What? Yeah. Do 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 do. Kevin says, mileage says we have been getting ours undercoated every year, and so far so good. Yeah. So I just did. There's a company here that just popped up that's right down the road from the shop, which is awesome because I was literally thinking about starting one of those companies, and they're doing I don't know, I forget what it's called. I've sent it to Rich B on it before, but it's not fluid film, but they're doing something similar to it. It's black when it comes out. It's really nice. It's biodegradable, environmentally friendly, blah blah. But I've been happy. The stuff creeps. It's nice. Good product. So yeah, I definitely would recommend. It's $400. They do it. Um, it's worth it. So if you got a car, I'd absolutely brand new, used, whatever too. That stuff helps a lot. That undercoating. Just don't do like the Z bar, that paint stuff. You can't. That stuff will trap moisture. I did that on some of my old trucks, and the frames actually turned out worse. They start flaking off in big chunks. Was it Rhino liner? Undercoat? Just undercoat. It was undercoat. Used to be able to buy it at the grocery store. You know, look good when you put it on, but years later it builds up. Um, Rusty's guy says I do believe the 5 to 6,000 was synthetic, right? And then Rusty says I do. Oh, it's the same thing. Rusty says, yeah. So I mean, I think it's right around the 5,000 is what I kind of hear from a lot of guys that you should. But the problem is with diesels, man. There's so many. They take so many gallons of oil. I mean, it was like a whole day job for me to do an oil change in my truck. It was like by the time you do the fuel filter, you drain it, you fill it, you're supposed to do certain procedures. And then, like I said, I look at all this stuff now and the fuel, right? That ultra low sulfur, it's not good, I guess, for a lot of these pumps. There's been videos out there. They show the abrasion that it happens on those, was it the CP4 pumps that are blowing up. It's just like, no, thanks. I'd rather deal with and it's one of those things like, how far do you go? How far do you go? Like I get on the roads, I got the little Nissan sometimes, I'm not as zippy as everybody, but I get where I need to go just fine. You know what I mean? Um, so how far do you go with the power and all that kind of stuff? How much do you really need? I mean, it's nice. The turbos and that were great for pulling trailers and stuff. They are monsters, but some of these gas ones are what was it? My brother-in-law, my one, he had the older diesel, and he said his Ford EcoBoost would pull a trailer better than that diesel would. He said that six-cylinder Cummins, I think his was an '04 Cummins, and then he has a newer 16 or something F-150. Now obviously, does he have the truck for it with brakes and that? That's always a different, but he said that thing's got way more power, way more torque. You know, will you break it? Probably with all that power. It's always a balance, right? So my dad always said, you can put a big motor in it, but it's going to blow out your transmission, you're going to blow out your drive shaft, your rear end. Yeah, Rusty says not diesel for me, gas. Yeah, it just, diesel just, gas is everywhere. Like I said, you got more mechanics that can work on it. You can work on it. It's a little easier to diagnose. When you get some of the diesel stuff, that stuff still intimidates me, even though I understand the concept, but the high pressure and, is it the pickup fuel pump? Is it the low fuel pump? Whatever they call it, the low pump. I can't remember. But then there's the high pressure pump. There's just so many more layers. And it's like, to me, I go, for at least around here now, if I live probably in the mountains, like when I was going through Colorado, yeah, I probably have a diesel. You know what I mean? Like I told myself I'll never go back out to all those hills without a big thirsty V8 or a diesel because oh my gosh, you know, I mean, I needed some power, man. We were in a little minivan. We were stacked to the hills with our stuff with a big family, and the minivan I thought I was going to blow her up because I just have her to the floor trying to climb hills, you know. And I'm trying to just stay with the semis. You know what I mean? Those boys drive hard, but yeah, he can. You know, diesels just add up to too much nowadays. The old diesels were better, I think, in my opinion. The new ones just got so many nuances to them nowadays, especially with all the emissions, all that kind of stuff. You got to, you know, and you can't, can't tune and do all that kind of stuff anymore like you're supposed to. So, anywho, I think I'm gonna jump off here. I've kept you guys long enough. Thank you guys so much for being here. Um, maybe Papa Tony jump on tonight. Maybe he jump on. I'm gonna tune out. Like I said, I'm gonna get back to. I just got stuff to do. I got a truck to still clean. Um, I got to get the schedule, kind of what's up next here, and go from there. Just you know how it is, busy, 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 right? It never stops when you're a business owner. It just goes and goes and goes. So you guys have a good day or night out there, and let me know. Let me know. Like I said, watch the video. Let me know anything you see, any comments. Kevin had a good idea, like I said, the inch and quarter shaft. So that's awesome. And if you guys come across any vehicles, vans that you think are pretty reliable, that are new, that maybe been out a little bit, send them my way. Like I said, I haven't been able to find nothing that I can relate with yet. So, anywho, I'm over and out. Keep your fingers. Stay safe out there, guys. Make sure you don't do nothing silly. Life's too short. Got to exit. Where do I hit the button? End. It's here. See you later. Goodbye. Ta ta.